9 programmers were exposed by an unexpected delivery girl. What happened next was heartwarming. Mia zipped through the bustling streets of San Francisco, her heart racing faster than her bicycle wheels. With a grin on her face, she delivered meals with the fervor of someone who had dreams worth fighting for. At just 22, she carried her family's hopes on her back, battling the grind of poverty day by day. Yet, during her rounds in the underprivileged Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood, she often crossed paths with a group of programmers from a prestigious tech startup. They looked down on her, throwing smug glances that pierced through her hard-earned pride. "Don't bother with the food, get a real job." One snickered, echoing the minds of many. Those comments stung. They reflected a narrow vision that overlooked the grit of blue-collar work. But Mia held on to a burning resolve. She wanted to become a programmer, a dream crafted through late-night coding sessions and the flicker of her laptop light after hours of delivery work. Each of those encounters felt like an uphill battle against their judgments, but she couldn't let their dismissive attitudes dim her aspirations. Then came that fateful afternoon. As Mia approached their colorful office, still buzzing with the tech frenzy, she overheard the programmers bickering. An unmistakable tone of panic hung in the air. Their flagship app had crashed, and there they were, high-tech savants stranded, floundering in their own bubble. Suddenly, the reality of their chaos struck her. Despite their intelligence, they were helpless. Mia paused, her heart pounding wildly. All those late nights spent learning programming languages and debugging code were surfacing in a wave of courage. She cleared her throat, the urge to offer help strangling her nerves. Do you guys need a hand?" she asked, desperate yet determined. Their disdain was palpable. They exchanged glances before one finally nodded, albeit reluctantly. As the days rolled on, Mia delved into the code, pouring all her knowledge onto their screens, offering solutions they overlooked. The programmers began to notice. A flicker of respect intertwined with their shock at the unconventional paths that had led her here. With each late-night work session filled with energy drinks and frantic typing, their walls started to crack. Stories exchanged over code wove a stronger bond. They all understood fear and pressure, no matter the job, but soon, competition brewed among the programmers, jealousy festering as they battled to outshine each other. Tensions grew, and just when they seemed on the brink of triumph, Mia sat with a tightening chest, her hands clammy with anxiety. The all-hands meeting loomed, and with it, her validation. Would she finally be recognized for her contributions, or would she fade back into the shadows where their preconceived notions pushed her? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The boardroom fell silent, eyes glued to the presentation screen. Mia's heart raced as she felt the weight of their biases pressing down. Could she finally show them her worth? The results rolled across the big screen, illuminating faces in anxious anticipation. Would they emerge together, or would prejudice tear their hard-earned partnership apart? Mia took a deep breath, knowing this was more than just a moment. It was a battle for respect, resilience, and the chance to prove that success wears many faces. Mia stood in front of the screen, her breath hitching as the first line of data flickered to life. A mixture of excitement and dread washed over her. She felt eyes boring into her back, some full of skepticism, others filled with hesitant hope. The company's future, or at least their latest venture, rested on the data she had helped compile. If they saw success today, would they finally see her as something more than just a delivery girl? The results were promising. The analytics she painstakingly pored over displayed a steady upward trajectory, validating her sleepless nights. A buzz of murmurs filled the room, but she remained focused, her mind alive with possibilities. She needed to speak, to voice the solutions that could propel their struggling app back into the spotlight. Guys, if we double down on the features I laid out, she began, her voice trembling slightly at first, we can improve user engagement exponentially. This isn't just about fixing a bug, it's about redefining what we offer. A silence followed her words. For a moment, she thought she saw the programmers reconsidering their initial doubts. But just as quickly, the murmurs of dissent returned. What would she know about tech? One of them shot back, his tone sharp and dismissive. We've been programming for years. The weight of their scorn hit her like a brick. Her heart raced, the pounding echoing in her ears. That was the moment the door opened wider for vulnerability and all too familiar feeling of inferiority. She drew a deep breath, trying to steady herself against the tide of emotions threatening to overwhelm her. Maybe I don't have years of experience, she said, her voice steadier now. But I know this community. I understand the needs of everyday users, and sometimes, that insight is just as valuable as lines of code. With those last words, she felt a sense of liberation. For an instant, Mia caught the eyes of a few newer programmers who'd been observing quietly in the background. They nodded, as if to say they understood. It was like searching for a light in a dark room, it was weak, but present. Let's put that to the test, the project lead finally declared. Mia, let us run a trial. Mia barely registered her name amid the mix of disbelief and support. A trial? She echoed, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. Yeah, let us see if your ideas work. She had done it. In their world, she had earned a chance to prove her worth. Excited chatter rippled through the room as the team began dissecting her suggestions. It felt surreal. For the first time, she was part of something beyond delivering meals. The team was opening their arms, albeit slowly, to allow her in, but as she gathered her belongings and prepared to head back to her rounds, she overheard whispers among the more senior programmers. Can you believe she thinks she belongs here? It's still a long shot. A sinking feeling hit her as their words hung in the air. Did they truly believe in her potential, or were they simply tolerating her for now? As she pedaled away from the office, the wind biting at her cheeks, she felt a flood of uncertainty wash over her. It was a critical turning point, one that could shape her future. Yet the whispers echoed in her mind, clawing at her resolve. Did she have what it took to carve a space in a world that often rejected her? The route home stretched familiar beneath her, a path that now felt heavier with the weight of her ambition. She needed to show them she could thrive. But could she push through the doubts? Mia ripped through the city streets, thoughts swirling. Every delivery was more than just food, it represented a piece of her journey. Reaching her apartment, she glanced at her laptop sitting in the corner. A soft glow emanated from its screen. It beckoned her back to the code. But in the silence that followed, one unsettling question lingered: would she have the strength to fight for her dreams, or would she retreat into the shadows once more? That doubt gripped her heart, and as she opened her laptop, she felt the looming challenge ahead. It wasn't just the programmers who needed to believe in her, it was herself. In that moment, the next phase of her journey began. The question now was, how far would she go to claim her space? The next morning dawned gray and overcast, matching the swell of anxiety that churned within Mia. She couldn't shake the feeling that yesterday had been a fluke. What if the trial didn't go well? What if the programmers laughed at her ideas, just like the whispers from the night before? She brewed a strong cup of coffee, the aroma filling her tiny apartment, but it did little to cut through the nervous energy coursing through her veins. With each delivery, Mia replayed her presentation in her mind, microanalyzing every word and gesture. The faces in that room haunted her. Skepticism replaced enthusiasm as she envisioned the senior programmers shaking their heads, dismissing her ideas as naive. She shook her head, trying to clear the negativity as she strapped on her helmet and hopped onto her bike. Each street she weaved through felt like a test. She delivered food with an urgency that mirrored the fire in her heart. But deep down, each click of her pedals seemed to chime a reminder: the trial. The hope. The place she wished to carve for herself. As she parked outside the office building after her rounds, she felt the tension building yet again. Would they be receptive today? Would her suggestions show promise? the transition from delivery girl to contributor kept slipping through her fingers, like sand. She took a moment in front of the building to steady her breathing. This was a pivotal day. She couldn't afford to back down. Stepping into the office, she noticed a quiet shift in energy. The team gathered at a conference table, focused on her suggestions illuminated on the screen. Mia felt a sudden sting of hope. Maybe they were taking her ideas seriously. As she approached, the project lead waved her over. "We've made some adjustments," he said, gesturing to the screen. "Your input helped more than you know." Mia's heart leaped. Her pulse quickened, but doubt still nagged. "Did it? Are you sure?" "I mean, I'm just a delivery girl," he interrupted her with a wave of his hand. "You're more than that. Your perspective has added depth to our work." As they discussed modifications, Mia felt a warmth from the team. Questions flowed freely, and for the first time, she felt truly valued. This wasn't just her trial, it was theirs too, an opportunity for everyone to learn from a different point of view. "Let us break for lunch, and then we'll run the simulation," the lead programmer suggested. Mia stepped outside with a few of the programmers, their laughter mingling with the fresh spring air. They shared stories, joked about their stress levels from coding, and she felt as if she was finally part of something. But the moment of light was fleeting. Just as they were sharing a laugh, the whispers from the senior programmers came rushing back, tainting her moment. "It's a nice little fantasy they're living," one muttered as they passed her, "but she'll never really fit in here." Her heart sank, the laughter fading away. The unexpected camaraderie felt precarious, a soap bubble momentarily floating in the air, but ready to pop. When the team returned to the conference room, Mia's resolve began to flicker. Who was she kidding? Maybe this was all just a game to prove that she didn't belong. Grabbing her notebook, she began jotting down her thoughts, but her handwriting appeared unsteady. She cursed under her breath, willing her insecurity to dissipate. As the simulation began, Mia sat with her heart racing. The tension was palpable as they ran the program, each moment feeling like an eternity. Her idea flickered to life on the screen, but there was no guarantee it would succeed. Would she win their respect, or further alienate herself? Her hope rested in the glitch between desire and reality. Would she have the strength to push through, or would doubt finally derail her efforts? In that charged atmosphere, the outcome loomed larger than ever, the stakes building as they approached that critical moment of truth. Mia's breath hitched as digits flickered and danced across the screen. Lines of code zipped past like racing thoughts, and she instinctively leaned forward, half expecting the program to crash or freeze like her confidence. The room was still, every eye glued to the output, and she felt sweat bead on her forehead. Silence stretched like an elastic band, ready to snap at the slightest error. Then, it happened. The program executed smoothly, her design popping up flawlessly before their eyes, a curling, vibrant interface she had sketched late one night, fueled by caffeine and dreams. For a heartbeat, Mia thought she might actually burst. A gentle murmuring rippled through the team as they leaned closer to scrutinize details. Mia couldn't tell if they were impressed or just politely nodding along. Then, someone pointed at the screen, their face lighting up with excitement. "This layout. It's intuitive. I didn't think of placing the filters this way," a programmer exclaimed, nudging his neighbor. A spark of hope ignited in Mia's chest. As they began discussing potential tweaks, Mia found herself participating more. Words flowed freely, emboldened by their enthusiasm. They debated, laughed, and even disagreed, but there was an unmistakable shift toward collaboration. She was in the circle now, sharing ideas instead of just listening. "It's like a fresh perspective reshaping how we think about this project," one of the senior programmers admitted, his earlier skepticism seemingly forgotten. A few others nodded in agreement, and Mia's heart swelled, but just as the energy reached a high point, the door creaked open. Mia's stomach dropped as she recognized the shadowy figures standing there, the very programmers whose whispers haunted her. They wore expressions that matched the weather outside, gray, overcast, full of doubt. "Oh, the delivery girl thinks she can help us?" one said, an edge of mockery tainting his words. They eyed Mia like she was an interloper in their world, not part of the team that had rallied around her. Their smirk sent her pulse racing once more. Her thoughts raced. Was this all a cruel joke? Were they going to dismantle what she'd built in just a few moments? But then the project lead stepped forward, glancing between the senior programmers and Mia. "Actually, Mia has just introduced concepts that could revolutionize this interface," he declared firmly. "We're progressing because of her ideas." The challenging look on the senior programmer's face faltered for a second, and for the first time, Mia saw something else, a hint of respect. But was it enough? Behind her confident facade, the girl on the bike still felt the urge to shrink away. As they ran through her design's features, Mia focused on the screen, discreet yet hopeful. Would this shut out the whispers? Would these moments be enough to bury the overwhelming tide of insecurity or paint a clear path toward acceptance? With the projections glowing, the reactions of the team began to shift. Questions fired back and forth, laughter echoed once more, and suddenly it felt like the walls of the conference room had transformed into a vibrant haven of creativity. She was no longer a delivery girl, but rather an invaluable part of a team on the verge of something exciting. But was it too late to be trusted? As they prepared for the final discussion, Mia felt her heartbeat in her ears, anxiety creeping back in. Had she truly made a place for herself, or would doubt rear its ugly head and take it all away? With one final glance at the team, Mia braced herself, ready to plunge deeper into her ambition and fight against the lingering specters of fear that could crush everything they had built together in that moment. The reflection of success shimmered just out of reach. Would she seize it, or hang back and let it slip away? Mia took a deep breath, letting the air fill her lungs as her heart raced. The murmurs from her teammates created a soft undertone to the mounting tension. They were brainstorming now, veering into territory she had only traveled in her dreams. Brimming with creativity, they tossed around ideas, hinting that something remarkable was blossoming. She could feel it, joy and fear twined tightly in her chest. "Why don't we shift the navigation bar to the side?" one programmer suggested. "It opens up the workspace more. It's cleaner, less cluttered." "Yes." Mia chimed in, her voice rising above the group's chatter. "And we could also make the icons more colorful to enhance visibility." The group turned to her, surprise flitting across their faces. Had she really just shared an idea? It felt bolder than anything she'd ever said before. An encouraging smile from the lead programmer buoyed her spirits, but the shadowy figure standing by the doorway still loomed sharply in her mind. Just then, the senior programmer who had initially mocked her slouched against the wall, arms crossed in a stance that screamed skepticism. He exchanged glances with his companions, the same disparaging smirks plastered across their faces. Mia's stomach twisted. Could she really rise above their judgment? The team's discussion shifted gears, and they delved into the technicalities. Excitement flared, thoughts colliding like fireworks. Mia was caught in a whirlwind, inhaling the vibrant energy surrounding her. For the first time in a long while, things felt right. Was this the breakthrough she had dreamed of? Then, an unexpected voice broke through the frenzy. "But can it handle thousands of users at once?" The skeptic's question sliced through the camaraderie, sending a ripple of doubt among her colleagues. Mia cursed the pit in her stomach, she hadn't even considered that. Panic prickled at her skin as the initial joy of contribution spiraled into a vortex of worry. Would all their efforts unravel like a loose thread? "Let us test it," the lead programmer replied. "Mia, why don't you walk us through the testing process?" She nodded, though her throat felt dry. The team gathered around, their eyes focused on her, and she sensed a curiosity building. "Okay, here's how it's structured," Mia began, each word dripping with vulnerability but also determination. Suddenly, the weight of their gaze became a canvas for her ideas. With every sentence, she layered confidence over doubt, pushing aside the hesitations that feasted on her resolve. As she detailed each step in their proposed testing phase, Mia noticed the questioning expressions morph gradually into intrigue. They were no longer dismissing her, she was leading them down a path of possibilities. Just as momentum reached its peak, her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket. Her heart dropped when she glanced at the screen messages from her family. They had no idea what she was trying to accomplish. No idea of this world she was trying to be part of. Would they ever understand? Or would they be filled with disappointment when they learned she had doubts about herself, still clinging to the remnants of that delivery girl label? One of the programmers caught her distraction. "Everything all right?" he asked, genuine concern lacing his words. "Yes," Mia quickly replied, forcing a smile. But inside, a tempest brewed. How could she reconcile her two worlds, this blossoming opportunity and her family's expectations? As the team resumed their focused discussion, she wrestled with the implications of her phone call, the expectations of home pinning her down just as she felt wings sprouting. In that moment, she realized she could either let this unravel her or rewrite her story. With a heart racing with mixed emotions, Mia locked eyes with the project lead, feeling a steel resolve form within her. She was ready for something more, even if fear clung to her like an unwelcome evoker of doubt. But as the brainstorming continued, an unexpected voice interjected from the back of the room, the very critic who had questioned her ideas. "Maybe this is all just a fluke." Mia's heart hammered in her chest. Was the spark of acceptance truly within her grasp, or would it be extinguished by those old shadows? Mia's breath caught in her throat at the words hanging in the air. The room seemed to freeze, the buzz of brainstorming fading into a deafening silence. Every eye shifted back to her, but it was the smirk on the senior programmer's face that stung the most. A knot tightened in her stomach, and for a moment, she felt like that delivery girl again, small, unworthy, invisible. "Maybe it is," she heard herself say, the truth spilling out before she could stop it. "Maybe I'm just a fluke. But if I can become part of this conversation, then what is stopping you?" The words surprised her, echoing with more power than she intended. They seemed to bounce off the walls, lifting the air back into a charged energy. The skepticism hung heavy, but curiosity sparked in her teammates' eyes. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about all of them, about finding their footing together in this vast, ever-evolving technological world. "Let us give her a chance," the lead programmer said, glancing at Mia as if she were a puzzle piece he hadn't noticed before. "Can you support your idea with data, Mia? We need to see if it holds up." "Yes," she replied, the words spilling out like a floodgate breaking. "I mean, yeah. I can definitely pull data to show how users interact with similar designs." Her confidence surged with the shift in the room's atmosphere. They weren't pushing her away anymore, they were pulling her in. The senior programmer's brow furrowed, and the doubt lingered on his face, but the others leaned in. As Mia began to outline her thoughts how they could analyze competitor products and user input, the energy in the room transformed. Questions came flying at her, not from a place of judgment, but of shared enthusiasm. Each exchange chipped away at the shadows that had chased her for far too long. The planner on the whiteboard came to life with her vibrant ideas while the programmers deliberated over specific features, sketching flow diagrams, watching as doubts morphed into possibilities. Each passing moment felt like a small victory. She could feel her heart soar. She was doing this. "I'll gather some data and present it by the end of the week," she said, her voice steadier now. The camaraderie in the room glimmered, like dawn breaking after a long night. They were united not just by technology but by this newfound respect for each other's voices. Suddenly, Mia's phone buzzed again, cutting through the excitement. She glanced at the screen, her family's messages flashing before her. Their questions felt distant now, like echoes fading further into the background. The lead programmer noticed her hesitation. "Mia, is everything all right?" he asked again, a genuine warmth in his tone. She forced a smile and nodded, though she could barely form a coherent thought about what the future held outside these office walls. The family responsibilities, the expectations, they all crept in like uninvited guests. But just as a stream of doubt threatened to flood her mind, something incredible happened. The team shifted their focus back to her, waiting for her next move. Their encouragement enveloped her, creating a safe haven where she could rise or fall on her own merits. "Let us make this our project a reflection of all our ideas," she said, her voice gaining strength. "This can be something meaningful." But as energy pooled around her, she could still sense the lingering doubt in the corner of the room, like a storm waiting to break. The senior programmer was silent, a storm of his own brewing behind his guarded eyes. Was today just the beginning of something she longed for? Or would the skeptic's shadow loom over their progress? The feeling of hope swirling in her chest pushed her forward. She was scared, but she was ready. Ready to embrace whatever came next, even if it meant facing judgment from within. As they continued their brainstorming session, an unsettling thought flickered in the back of Mia's mind. If they succeeded, could she finally shake off her label? And if they failed, would the voices of doubt suffocate her dreams yet again? As the brainstorming session progressed, Mia's adrenaline surged. Ideas bounced around the room like sparks igniting a fire. The energy built, and she could feel her heart racing, matching the rhythm of the discussions. It felt good. It felt real, but with each passing minute, that nagging doubt loomed larger. The senior programmer's skeptical silence was heavy like a dark cloud threatening to release a storm. She glanced at him, hoping to catch a glimmer of support, but found only a frown etched into his features. It made her stomach churn. "Mia," he finally said, breaking the cycle of chatter. "You're enthusiastic, but enthusiasm alone won't get us there. We need strategy." His words stung. She wanted to retort, to defend her passion, but she swallowed hard. Instead, she took a steadying breath, reminding herself of the support surrounding her. Her teammates looked at her expectantly, curious, perhaps even rooting for her. "True," she began, collecting her scattered thoughts. "But strategy without creativity can be limiting. What if we think outside the box?" Her voice was steadier now, the tremor of unease fading. "User experiences are often about emotions. We can analyze data and still have room for innovation." Someone in the group nodded. "That's right. We need to connect with our users," another one piped in, their enthusiasm fanning her flames. Little by little, she felt walls crumbling, including her own insecurities, giving way to a blossoming sense of determination. Mia started outlining a proposal not just to crunch numbers but to tap into user feelings using surveys, feedback sessions, and even social media interactions. Ideas flew back and forth, each member adding a piece that made the whole clearer. Laughter mixed with talk of user personas, and it broke the seriousness, lightening the mood. "I love this, Mia. Let us roll with it," the lead programmer said, igniting a wave of cheers from the others. Her heart swelled. In this moment, the skepticism fell away, replaced with the thrill of collaboration. They were blending their experiences and expertise into something new and exciting. And then, suddenly, her phone vibrated again, sharper this time, as if it held something urgent. She glanced down, her heart dropping when she saw her younger brother's name flash on the screen. Their 3 younger siblings relied on her, and she knew that her responsibilities didn't disappear just because she was gaining confidence at work. "Oh," she murmured, the bubble of excitement around her popping a little. "Everything okay?" the lead programmer asked softly, concern slipping into his voice. Mia forced a smile, but quickly answered, "Yeah, it's just family stuff." She didn't want to drag anyone down. But it was also a reminder that while success at work was exhilarating, it brought along expectations that tightened around her like a noose. "Why don't we regroup tomorrow? You can gather that data, and we'll reconvene to brainstorm even more," he suggested. "Absolutely," she replied, her resolve firming once more. The team began to disperse, but Mia stayed seated, letting the bittersweet mix of triumph and doubt wash over her. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, feeling both the thrill of accomplishment and the weight of her family's needs collide in her chest. As she gathered her things, she noticed the senior programmer lingering at the edge of the room. His face was unreadable, but she felt a shift. Maybe there was more beneath the surface. One thing was clear: she was ready to find out. When she finally stepped outside, the fresh air hit her with a rush, and she knew the real work had just begun. Would she have enough of herself to give? Would her family understand her struggle of balancing her dreams and their expectations? And most importantly, would she break free from the doubters inside and out now that she'd taken the first brave step? Those questions clung to her as she walked away, and the evening sky took on a hue of uncertainty. Yet in her heart, a small fire roared. Tomorrow was going to be a test, and she felt it deep. Within her bones, the moment of truth was coming. Mia woke up the next morning with a familiar mix of anticipation and dread swirling in her stomach. The morning sunlight filtered through her half-drawn curtains, illuminating the room that felt too quiet, too still. She rolled over to glance at her phone, hoping for a distraction from her swirling thoughts. There were no new messages, just the unyielding reminder that her day loomed ahead. Each tick of the clock felt like a countdown. She drew in a deep breath, pushing memories of yesterday's brainstorming session to the back of her mind. Today was crucial. The clock beeped fiercely as she stood up, shaking off sleepiness along with the doubts creeping back into her head. She had a plan, a strategy woven with creativity, anticipation, and now it was time to put it to the test. After a hasty breakfast, she grabbed her laptop bag, a coffee thermos, and stepped out the door, ready to face the day. The air was crisp, charged with the promise of autumn. There was an energy buzzing as people hurried by, engaged in their own lives, their own stories. She felt a twinge of belonging. Maybe she wasn't just trying to fit in, but rather carve out a place for herself. Arriving at work, the hum of the office greeted her like a familiar tune. She saw her co-workers already gathered, heads bent close together as they exchanged ideas. It felt like stepping back into a warm embrace. "Mia!" Someone called, interrupting her thoughts. It was the lead programmer, flashing a smile that washed away some of her worries. "Ready to wow us today?" With a nod, she took a seat among the familiar faces, her heart pounding. She set her laptop down and opened it, revealing notes full of ideas that had felt so brilliant last night. They were merely guidelines now, a starting point. "Okay, team," Mia began, her voice steadying as she prepared to present her proposal. "I want us to dig deeper. Let us explore how our users feel when they engage with the product. It's not just numbers, it's about their experiences." The group listened intently, leaning in as she spoke. Energy was high, each member chiming in with thoughts, improvements, and ideas. It was fluid, almost magical the way creativity sparked and took flight. But amidst their excitement, the door swung open, and in walked a delivery girl holding a stack of packages. Attention snapped away from Mia as curious eyes turned toward the newcomer. She wasn't just a delivery girl, she was a burst of energy that interrupted their rhythm in a way that was both shocking and invigorating. "Hey there. I have a delivery for the programming team." Her voice was light, almost musical, and it cut through the tension in the room like a knife. The lead programmer stood up, a bemused smile on his face. "That would be us. What do we owe you?" And for a moment, Mia felt that curious pang, the kind that flickers right before a major reveal. Why was this girl here? What was inside those boxes? As the delivery girl began to open the packages, curiosity consumed the team. A quick series of motions unveiled not only snacks and beverages but also a simple handwritten note from an anonymous team member expressing gratitude and encouraging words. Mia felt her heart swell, the words on the page resonating deeply within her. An unexpected warmth spread as they all read the note aloud, laughter punctuating the air. The delivery girl smiled, clearly happy to have brought them together even if just for a moment. "See?" the lead programmer said, looking at Mia. "Moments like this connection is exactly what you were talking about." Mia grinned widely, feeling the momentum shift. But beneath the joy, a flicker of uncertainty nagged at her. Was this a distraction from their project, or was it the very essence of what they were trying to achieve? The vibe in the room shifted again, infusing her proposal with new life. But as she glanced at her phone, a reminder flashed her brother. It was calling her back into her reality, a confrontation with her family's expectations looming ahead. Could she really balance this surge of creativity with the responsibility she felt for her siblings? And just how far would she go to prove herself both at work and at home? Mia's resolve began to solidify, but the path ahead was still shrouded in uncertainty. She took a deep breath, letting the excitement fill her up like the warm coffee in her thermos, but she couldn't shake the feeling that today might offer more than she bargained for. What if this unexpected delivery was only the beginning of moments that could shift everything for her? Mia watched as the delivery girl worked, her movements infused with an infectious enthusiasm. Each package was a surprise waiting to be unveiled, and for that moment, it felt as if the office had transformed into a hub of possibility. The laughter and shared gratitude among her colleagues was a reminder of the very connections she hoped to cultivate within their team. Yet, even as smiles broke across familiar faces, Mia's mind drifted to her brother. The reminder on her phone felt like an anchor pulling her into the depths of responsibility, a sharp contrast to the buoyant atmosphere around her. She knew the family dynamics tangled in her mind weren't going away. What did it mean that she was here, thriving in this space, while back home, she felt more like a weight than a pillar? The delivery girl gathered the empty boxes, her enthusiasm palpable. "So, who's going to be the first to try these snacks?" she exclaimed, holding up a bag of chips like a trophy, and the team erupted in playful shouts, someone declaring it a competition. Caught up in the laughter, Mia didn't notice the delivery girl had turned her attention toward her, a curious look in her eyes. "What's your plan for today?" she asked, genuine interest sparkling in her expression. Mia froze for a heartbeat. I'm presenting today," she managed, feeling the weight of expectations press down again. "Just hoping to make an impact, you know." The delivery girl smiled knowingly. "You already have. Look at how everyone's energized. Whatever you plan to share, just be yourself. That's the powerful part." It was odd, how her simple encouragement hit home. There was something liberating in her directness, a reminder that sometimes, it just took one voice to amplify the others. As the meeting drew closer, Mia took stock of the buzz around her. The note still echoed in her mind, "This place thrives because of you." She could feel the energy mixing with her own enthusiasm, giving her a little more courage. Maybe today wasn't just about proving herself, perhaps it was about embracing that very energy that connected them all. When the time came for her presentation, Mia stood at the front, her heart pounding rhythmically with the moments that had led up to this point. The faces in the room, her teammates, the lead programmer, and even the delivery girl, who had snuck back to listen, were a sea of anticipation. Every bit of that energy pooled against the tremors of doubt swirling in her stomach. "Thank you all for joining me today," she began, her voice steady but soft enough to draw them in. She shared her ideas with clear passion, outlining how they could deepen the user experience. As she spoke, she noticed nods of agreement, inspired murmurs, and she adapted in real time, fueled by their responses. Her spirit lifted with every word. She remembered the laughter, the connections, the brief but poignant encounter with the delivery girl. Mia could feel a shift, an understanding blooming in the room. Together, they could create something meaningful. Just as she wrapped up, she caught sight of a team member raising a hand. "Mia, I think your idea could evolve even further. What if we invited users to tell their stories rather than just collecting data? It's personal, and we can build something real." There was momentum now, ideas ricocheting around the office like wild confetti. Each thought built on another, and Mia felt her heart swell. The creative possibilities seemed endless. But in the midst of this newfound synergy, her phone buzzed again, snapping her back to reality. A text flashed, "We need to talk. It's important." Her brother's words echoed with an unmistakable weight. Mia took a breath, her smile faltering for just a second. How would she navigate the emotions that swirled at home, now that she was starting to find her voice here? The day was morphing into something she had only just begun to understand. That laughter rang in her ears and ideas flowed around her. she wondered could she really step into her own light at work while carrying the shadows from home? The thought lingered within her as she prepared to unravel her next steps, both at the office and in her family life. The buzz around her faded as the night closed in. What choices would she make when faced with those two worlds colliding? And were they really as separate as they felt? The sun dipped below the horizon, painting San Francisco's skyline with hues of orange and pink, as Mia left work that day. Her heart sang with a melody of triumph, but the looming weight of her brother's message gnawed at her thoughts. This day had brought a sense of validation and togetherness with her team, but back home, family responsibilities were an ever-present shadow. As she rode home, the crisp air filled her lungs, refreshing her spirit. Mia replayed moments from her presentation, the enthusiasm buzzing among her colleagues, their shared laughter, her passion igniting fires of creativity. But what would happen when she faced her siblings? Would they see her new confidence, or would they only focus on how she needed to provide for them? This tension twisted like a knot in her stomach. Arriving home, the familiar 5-flight trek to her apartment felt heavier than normal. As she unlocked the door, Mia found her siblings gathered around the living room, their eyes alight with curiosity. The cluttered space was filled with art supplies and school projects, a cacophony of color amidst their modest furnishings. The heat of love and responsibility surged, filling her heart even as uncertainty settled in. "Mia! You're back!" her youngest sibling exclaimed, tugging on her jacket. "Did you bring us anything?" "Yeah, how was your day?" Another chimed in, voices mingling with excitement. "Busy, but good," Mia replied, forcing a smile as she kicked off her shoes. "You wouldn't believe what happened at work today." They listened intently, their hopes shining through every question. As she shared bits of her day, the energy shifted, and she felt lighter. They were her anchor, grounding her amidst the whirlwind of aspirations at her job. She realized they were proud of her hustle, her dreams, and maybe, they understood more than she gave them credit for. After the stories faded into a comfortable silence, her brother finally broached the topic that had been looming. "Hey, we need to talk about bills next month. Mom has sent out a few reminders." Mia's heart sank for a moment. She took a deep breath, steadied her voice, and released her emotions like a sigh. "I know. I want to help," but she hesitated, considering everything she wanted to say. "My job is starting to open doors for me. I'm working on something big, like really big, and I want you all to be proud of me." Her siblings exchanged glances, their brows furrowing slightly, teetering between concern and support. "Mia, we're proud of you no matter what," her sister said softly. "But, we need you here too." "I'm here, I promise," Mia replied, her heart pleading for understanding. "But today, for the first time, I felt like I belonged at my job. I want to prove to myself that I can follow my dreams and support you. It's not one or the other, it's both." She looked into their eyes, seeing their supportive sparkle illuminated by her newfound conviction. The murmur of doubt within her began to fade, replaced by the warmth of unity and love from her family. They didn't need to carry burdens alone, they could lift each other, becoming their own support system. The following days flowed into one another, each filled with teamwork and camaraderie at the office, and evenings spent supporting her siblings with their homework and household needs. As she found her rhythm, Mia noticed that she was thriving in both worlds, the hustle at the tech startup and the nurturing at home. Then came the big day when Mia's team would unveil their revamped app. The atmosphere buzzed with energy as she stood alongside her colleagues, her heart racing but bubbling with excitement. As the project lead introduced her, she felt confident and finally ready to own her story, not just as a delivery girl or a programmer but as a sister, a dreamer, and a force to be reckoned with. The presentation flashed up on screens, and as the applause erupted, Mia's heart swelled with pride. She felt like a phoenix rising with the colors of her past, present, and future swirling around her. Those hard-fought battles against doubt had transformed into the glittering tapestry of who she had become. In that moment, she realized something profound. Success is not a straight line, it's a winding road filled with support, struggle, and love. It's knowing that when you lift each other, no burden feels too heavy. As the evening rolled into a celebration with her team, Mia raised a toast. To navigating our paths together, she said, her voice resonating. To embracing all of who we are, because every experience adds depth to success. Cheers rang out, and she caught the eyes of her coworkers. They were smiling not just at her words, but at the truth they all shared, a newfound connection that would carry them forward. Mia took a moment to savor it all, the laughter, the friendships, and the future unfolding like a beautiful story. She was ready to face things head-on, balancing her missions at work and home. Life was no longer about fitting into boxes, it was about breaking them open and forging your own way, and above all, she knew that she wouldn't be doing it alone. Now's your turn. Join the community by subscribing to the channel immediately so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Don't just watch, comment your reactions and feelings about Mia's journey. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, so don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand the importance of helping the channel grow.